I just finished watching this episode, and all I want to say is that these characters, I know I should have already known this, but they are psychotic. Like, all of these characters are straight psychos. I mean, I should have already been aware of this. I mean, I have been, but just like, this episode really concretes the fact that our characters are very far from normal. Like, a lot of these characters remind me of characters from Black Lagoon. If you've ever watched Black Lagoon, you know what I'm talking about. Just these characters, or this episode in general with a certain character, for instance, the girl that wants to play, like, Russian roulette, basically, it reminded me so much of Black Lagoon. Just the entire way the guns were being handled, to the licking of the gun and all that, just the psychotic nature of some of these characters. Just like this episode, holy shit. So, before I say anything else, okay, I just want to say right now, I really, really love how lively the faces look when it comes to Kakegurui. I mean, I love how the art is done with the faces when the characters go into straight crazy mode. I don't know, it just adds so much life to this series. Hopefully I'm not the only one that thinks that when I'm watching this series, that these crazy faces, it doesn't actually ruin the episode. It actually makes the episode feel more lively, and it just complements the scenes, especially when these characters are acting full-on crazy. So, one other thing I want to mention. Did anyone else get Saw vibes from this episode? Like, when I was watching this episode, I expected a character to just pop up and say, I want to play a game. I figured something creepy like that would happen, but it didn't. I mean, the reason why I got Saw vibes is because of the setting of the episode, or half the episode. When you see the way the background was drawn, like the bathroom, whatever, this old bathroom-looking thing, it reminded me of the first Saw movie. If you've ever watched Saw, you know what I'm talking about. All we needed was some form of, like, chains, then locked up to, like, a wall, and you had it to where there was a key they had to get, and a dead guy in the middle of the room. That's all they needed, because it legit reminded me of Saw, especially when their lives are on the line with a fucking gun. That's just straight up Saw. Like, I didn't think this series would get that extreme, especially with the gambling. I mean, it makes sense that when you see how crazy the first couple episodes were, that we might get something like this. However, this makes me question, what else could they really do? I mean, we're already at the point this early into the series, like episode 6, with our characters putting their lives on the line. So, there's not really much more they could do to make this extreme. And from what we have found out, is that Yumiko, she's the type of person that really loves to live life on the edge. I mean, she is fine with betting everything and possibly causing harm to her own self if it comes to gambling. I mean, look at the episode when she was betting her fingernails. She put her fingernails on the line. It's like, ooh, I bet that would really hurt and all that. Like, it'll really make, you know, daily life very hard after you remove your fingernails. And so basically what that emphasized was is that she gets off on that. She gets off on the fact that if she was to lose, the repercussions of that would hurt her really badly. And so you could see that she just enjoys the essence of gambling. And so with her putting her life on the line this early on in the series, you're just wondering, like, what can they do next? I mean, that's what I'm really curious about. Because if we're already at this part, like, this extreme with gambling and this early into the series, what can they possibly do to make it even crazier than it already is? The only thing I could assume that would be crazy and hurt Yumiko is if someone said, like, if you lose this, you know, gamble, or this game, you will never be able to gamble again. Maybe something like that. I mean, that could be a potential possibility. However, besides all of that, though, let's just talk about what was happening in this episode. So, the character that is crazy, I don't know her name, but the character that likes the gun, Russian, you know, roulette, and she wants to have bullets in the chamber and all that, and click it, and, you know, either you kill yourself or you don't, she gets off on that. And so she went out of her way to request a game from Yumiko to play this with her. And eventually it pops up to where they have to bet their lives. I mean, if they fuck up and all of that, basically they could be killed and then thrown into the hospital if they do survive. But regardless, though, if you do die, it's going to be swept under the rug. Nobody's really going to know. That's what we found out. So it shows that this school has a lot of power. A lot of political power. I mean, that's a given because of the previous episode with Mary and Yumiko, when we found out that their lives were already planned for them. They were going to marry, like, important people, like a politician or whatever, have a good life like Mary was. So, this shows that this school does have a lot of power. I mean, it's not just money or gambling with students, but they have a lot of pull. And in this case, for the student council president to be able to sweep something like a death under the rug like it's nothing, that's fucking insane. That's legit insane. Like, that's not something you could just easily do. So, there is a lot of corrupt and evil shit going on in this school, and I'm just curious to see how far it'll go, like, in terms of just extreme and just how crazy these characters will be just to have a thrill of gambling. But, anyways, let's talk about the final part of the episode. So, Yumiko, she misses. She loses, basically. And the girl with the gun that likes playing this type of game, she pulls out the gun about to shoot Yumiko. Now, remember, like I said, if, you lose, you have a potential possibility, if, there's a bullet in the chamber, you're going to get shot. You're going to get completely fucked up, and you're going to basically die. Your life is on the line. And so, at the end, when she pulls out the gun, you have it to where Yumiko's like, you're gonna regret it if you pull the trigger. So basically what I'm getting from that is if she pulls the trigger, she's possibly going to kill herself. Because remember, like I already said, the student council president apparently gets sweep a death under the rug. So that basically means that Yumiko's not saying that because, oh, you're gonna regret it killing me. She's saying that because if you fire that trigger, something bad might happen. And what I'm assuming, my only assumption that could possibly happen here, is if Yumiko somehow jammed a gun to where he can't fire. The guns are completely jammed completely, and they just can't fire a bullet. Or maybe there's a way she can understand if a certain gun is which gun. Maybe she knows it's her gun or whatever, and that's why she's like, you better not fire that gun. Maybe because she didn't load the chamber and any of her, like, bullets into it, and so she knows it's her gun somehow, and basically, if that girl misses, she gets to fire back. Maybe something like that. I have no idea. But regardless, though, this was a very entertaining episode. And Mary also had her own segment in the episode with the student council president. And there was a lot of Yuri action going on there. Oh my god, there was some Yuri. Huh. Gotta say, this series, I'm liking that. I'm liking that Yuri. I gotta admit, I'm liking that Yuri. But anyways, though, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How'd you feel about the latest episode? Love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.